A new update in the Pooh Shiesty case could now release Shiesty from jail. This would obviously save his music career, so we need to talk about it. Let's get straight into it. Currently, Pooh Shiesty is facing 2 court cases that have a chance of putting him in prison for life. Luckily, one of his cases may now be dropped from the rapper. In the second court case, it states that while at the King of Diamonds club, Memphis rapper Pooh Shiesty was performing for a crowd. During his performance, people that were sitting in the front stage noticed that Pooh Shiesty had $40,000 worth of cash hanging out of his skinny jeans back pocket. According to the official arrest warrant, Pooh Shiesty was performing at the club when somebody in the front row knocked the stack of cash out of his back pocket. $40,000 worth of US cash ended up falling onto the floor, which the whole crowd swarmed and ran out of the club with. This is when rapper Pooh Shiesty hops onto the floor with the crowd, tries to grab all of his money, but sadly, the crowd got away with it too fast. That's when Shiesty storms out of the club after the individuals. But while exiting the club, Shiesty was caught on film pulling a firearm out of his waistband. An individual that was sitting in the back of the club was recording the entire concert. He was able to catch Shiesty exiting the club pulling a firearm out of his waistband, and that is when a few moments later, a firearm was then heard being used outside of the club towards a security guard. Now, witnesses claim that it was Shiesty who walked out of the club, had an argument with a security guard, and Shiesty did the act. Well, a new massive update just came out in this case from the security guard himself. The security guard at the latest court hearing told law enforcement that he no longer wants to press charges against the Memphis rapper. The security guard wants to take back all statements that he gave law enforcement at the scene. He claims that he no longer remembers if he saw Shiesty aim and use a firearm towards him. The reasoning as to why he no longer remembers is due to the paramedics that arrived to the scene gave him some sort of medicine to help deal with the pain he was facing. And due to the medication he was given, he says it gave him memory loss. This now makes him no longer want to press charges because he doesn't want to be responsible for putting somebody at risk of facing life in prison if he doesn't know who it truly was who did it. Now, at Shiesty's next bail hearing, this information will become present to the judge. If this court case does get dropped, Pooh Shiesty will have a very high chance of being released from jail or prison, and if this case is closed due to the security guard no longer wanting to press charges, Pooh Shiesty will only have 1 case left to battle. Now, the other court case Shiesty's involved in states that Shiesty and his friend met 2 individuals inside of a parking lot. Shiesty arrives to the parking lot driving a bright green McLaren sports car. When Shiesty and his boy arrived to the parking lot, he hopped out of his McLaren and met the 2 individuals. These 2 men are supposed to be selling Shiesty high-end sneakers as well as narcotics. At the time, Shiesty was wearing his famous mask. It makes it very hard for law enforcement to figure out who it was, but that was until Shiesty practically self-snitched. Now, everything was going normal at the parking lot. Shiesty was showing these 2 individuals inside of his McLaren. Everything was going normal. This was until the transaction was about to go down when Shiesty pulls a firearm once again out of his waistband and turns it into a robbery. Now, allegedly, Shiesty pulls a firearm out, he uses it towards the 2 individuals, hitting one in the hip and the other one in the backside. In the process of it, the 2 men, they were trying to run away and duck behind their vehicle, leaving the high-end sneakers and narcotics left out in the open. That's when Shiesty grabbed the high-end sneakers and narcotics, threw them into his McLaren, and while trying to rush everything, grab the sneakers and everything, Shiesty went to close the door of his McLaren, which had butterfly doors. Now, there was a Louis Vuitton bag stuffed into the side door pocket. The Louis Vuitton bag ended up falling out of the McLaren. Now, in this Louis Vuitton bag, there was $40,912 all in cash. After the incident went down, Shiesty headed to the airport and he rented a private jet and flew right out of there before law enforcement even had the chance of arresting him. So before hearing the news of his first case being dropped, Shiesty was going through a lot while in jail. We saw Shiesty enter the courtroom wearing what's called a turtle suit. Typically when in jail, if you're having a very hard time, saying things about your life, caught crying in your jail cell, things in that nature, the law enforcement will actually take your clothings and all of your belongings inside of your jail cell, and they'll give you this suit to wear instead. You cannot do any harm with this suit on, as you probably could with clothing. Now, it's a very sensitive subject, but they take it very serious while in jail. Now, Pooh Shiesty has been silent for over the last month due to how severe his court cases are. The odds of him being sentenced to life in prison is very high, but recently, Shiesty told the judge at his last court hearing that he will actually change his plea to guilty for the incident of using a firearm towards two individuals in exchange for a lesser sentence. Meaning, if the one case gets dropped with the security guard and Shiesty takes a plea deal for a lesser sentence in the other, Shiesty could be escaping prison a lot quicker than you might think. Due to Shiesty being signed to Gucci Mane's label, they have all of the money in the world. Gucci Mane is not going to let Shiesty do life in prison. He is going to be buying the best lawyers that money can buy, and he will be getting Shiesty out of prison a lot quicker than you might think. And let's just be honest, how much money do you guys think that Gucci Mane and Shiesty paid off the security guard to drop the charges? Because there's no way that he just had random memory loss after taking some medication to help deal with the situation that was going on. A lot of people rumored that the Gucci Mane and Shiesty label ended up paying the security guard upwards to 6 figures for him to drop the charges, which for a record label is not that much money. You'd actually be surprised. They're doing everything humanly possible to get Shiesty out of prison, hiring multiple lawyers, paying off security guards to drop charges, and we're just gonna have to see what happens with this other case. I wouldn't even be surprised if in the next upcoming weeks, we find out that the 2 men that he met in the parking lot also end up dropping the charges as well. I wouldn't be surprised. If that is something that you would like to happen, leave a like on the video and don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you're new. If you haven't already, check out our videos here on the end screen, and don't forget to turn on the notification button. We're uploading every day in the month of December. Anyways guys, this has been District Trending, and I'm ending the video here. I'm out. Peace.